two, one.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our One Piece podcast. Today, I'm Kyle, and I have Will and Luke with me, and we are discussing Punk Hazard. This is the first arc that takes place in the New World. Fishman Island kind of didn't really count because it was in between, but now we have our feet firmly planted in the New World. What did you guys think? Will, I know this is your first time, so why don't you say what you thought?
I thought it was alright. It wasn't anything crazy. I like getting to see Law more because he was an interesting character from before. He's got a very interesting power that's like pretty flexible. Um, there were some things that I liked more than other things. I didn't think the villain was particularly compelling. Or like I wasn't a big fan of the setting, I guess, the icy island and slash fire island, I guess, and I don't know. It wasn't anything crazy, but there were some moments that I liked and some moments that I was just kind of meh on. I didn't, yeah. It was some like the whole kids plot was kind of like, this kind of stinks, but yeah, relatively lukewarm on the whole arc.
Yeah, I would agree mostly on that statement, but um, after the Fishman Island arc last time, it certainly seems a lot better.
Yeah,
But I actually do enjoy Caesar as a villain. He's not strong, but he's got uh villainous motives behind what he's doing, and he's got a couple shticks that's pretty funny.
yeah. I like
Um,
I liked well, A, he has got a great laugh. The shoo ro 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 ro.
yeah, dude, you got to listen to his voice actor. It's the same voice actor as Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. It's like
Okay.
such a villainous voice, and I think that's also why I liked him.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's got everything you want out of a One Piece arc. It's got a lot of humor. Um, I guess not too many good fights. I guess Zorro versus Monet. That was decent.
Yeah. Not too many fights in general. It was
Yeah,
relatively light on the fights.
it's certainly a lot of setting up. We've got this alliance. We're starting to get an idea of how the next you know couple foreseeable future of the story is gonna go.
Yeah, and yeah, what I like is we're getting more. We talked a lot about Doflamingo and how we didn't really know too much about him, and we're getting a lot going towards him. He seems to be the focal point of where everyone's headed. So everyone's going to Dressrosa, which just seems like his domain, which is pretty cool. And they even said like outright like he's like I don't know if they said he's the strongest or like the craziest of the Shichibukai. They said something. He's like one of the maybe scariest Shichibukai, which is definitely,
Most influential.
yeah, definitely,
He's
definitely.
he's big in the underworld trading.
Yeah, he's like the
Hmm.
biggest underworld guy because he's like in charge of the fake devil, well, not fake devil fruits, custom devil fruits, I guess. The zone devil fruit trade. He's like completely in charge, and we learn he's been supplying one of the Yonkai with them, and he's this Yonkai that's just got like what they say 500 different zone devil fruit users, which, well, while I think it's pretty cool, I think it's going to be very much like the rule of ninjas in cinema where, well, you're facing one devil fruit user, like, okay, that person's probably going to be strong, but as soon as you're facing 500 devil fruit users, like, okay, they're all going to be pushovers except for maybe a couple of them.
Yeah, it's like like when they were fighting the fodder in Fishman Island, where it's just like, okay, like half of them just got immediately wiped out by the Conqueror's Haki.
Yeah.
Like the goal really is to get to the one-on-one fights, especially in like you said in movies, but also in shonen for sure. Like
Yeah.
that's the best kind of a fight is a one-on-one.
Mhm. Yeah.
It basically comes down to the individual, right? If a weakling eats devil fruit, okay, he's got some powers, but he's not going to do much with it.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm curious to see if we see any like I'm sure like some of that Yonkai's crew are gonna have some really cool zone type because we already saw like Momo's devil fruit is a dragon, which is super cool, And like he's a tiny dragon, but still like that's like a pretty new type, I guess. We've gotten like Phoenix, which is probably the craziest one we've seen so far. There's been like dinosaurs and stuff, but a dragon's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
dragon's definitely cool.
yeah,
That's kind of along the lines of like the mythical or ancient, like what we saw with the dinosaur.
yeah, exactly. I think just going along the lines of Momo, I think Momo and oh, I'm drawing a blank.
Kinemon,
Yeah,
Kinemon.
I think they were
Kinemon.
probably one of my favorite parts of the chapter. They were pretty funny, especially early in the chapter. They were pretty funny.
Yeah, I
They kind
love
of
like them putting together Kinemon.
yeah,
That whole
exactly.
like that whole arc of them just like finding different pieces of him all over the place was
Yeah,
pretty funny and pretty great.
Luffy's got his legs on his back and stuff, and that was really good. Um, and then yeah, just him like his whole like demeanor, and then as soon as you like see Momo for the first time, he's got like this same exact demeanor, like oh I can't accept food from strangers, or like you're a filthy pirate, that type of thing. You're like okay, well they're like identical basically, father and son exactly.
Didn't Luffy ask Kinemon's legs to join the crew?
Yeah. I like how Kinemon, and also Kinemon has like the power. It's like because they find his legs first, I think, and his legs can talk. But then you find out later that he's talking through the power of farting, which is super stupid. But I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, Other really small things that were pretty funny for me. The guy, uh, Law's like old teacher that was like fighting them. That was kind of weird. Fuck, what's his name?
Virgo?
Yeah, Virgo. I liked Virgo. Virgo was cool. I liked him. I think I might have liked him better than Caesar, but I don't know. I guess I wasn't too high on Caesar, but Virgo was cool, and he also had like two really funny moments. He had like this memory shtick where he just didn't remember things. Like the first time it was like, Virgo, did you have a hamburger for dinner? And he's like, oh, yes, I did. How'd you know? I think you left something on your lips or something. And he's just like a full ass hamburger on the side of his face. And then another one was funny was he's like, oh, I've got to prepare for battle. Let me get my sword. Wait, where's my sword? Like, you're not a swordsman. It's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm not a swordsman.
Yeah,
He had like these random, really funny moments, but then most of the time he was just super serious and super like, I'm gonna kill these guys.
yeah.
Who fought Virgo?
Well,
Uh,
like Smoker fights him and kind of helps, but Law is the one who like actually kills him. Or
yeah.
yeah, I
Hmm.
think he's dead.
And Sanji fights him for a bit and like breaks his leg.
Oh yeah, they do clash a little bit, but because of like the gas, they have to like leave and they don't
Yeah,
actually have a full fight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Law definitely had a pretty big role this arc. Not only was he clashing with Virgo, but he was also kind of just like making the plans and stuff. Um, he was basically the brains behind the whole operation.
yeah,
Um, and like I don't know, personally, like I was not a huge fan of Law in this arc just because I felt like Law like is a character who, at least in this arc, he's like presented as like super, like he's so like serious and like edgy, and like he has all this like implied backstory, um where we don't know about it yet, but like they talk about how he knows like Doflamingo and stuff, so he's got some sort of personal grudge with everything. um and I don't know, I just like feel like it just sort of feels out of place in a series like One Piece that's so lighthearted and like about the comedy, where it's like whenever Law is like on screen, I feel like there's like barely any jokes. Like he just sort of like he like whenever he's on the page, you're like, okay, this is like a serious scene. And most of the
yeah,
time there are like no jokes whenever Law's around. Like the narrative just takes him so seriously, and that kind of bothers me. It kind of feels out of place in One Piece, but
yeah.
I don't know.
He kind of seems like he's there to play the straight man, but Zoro's already there to play the straight man. And like you mentioned, like when he is on screen, like there's not a lot of jokes going around. He's like the
Yeah,
one guy there to like remind everyone to be serious, which is kind of not like you said. It's kind of doesn't fit too well, but I
yeah.
don't know.
Like
See,
I do
I was
actually. Oh, go
I
on.
was gonna bring up the counterpoint. I actually liked Law since he was introduced, and even in this arc, I thought he was a good contrast to the Straw Hats as a whole. I know Will just brought up Zorro, and I didn't actually think, okay, yeah, Zorro was already the serious guy, but I actually love Law's reactions to how the Straw Hats operate. Like he's just sitting there in awe, like he's wanting to do everything to a T, and these guys are just joking around.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that he does provide that really nice contrast. And I do think I do like him as a character. Um, but I will admit I feel like he does at certain moments seem to suck the fun out of suck the fun out of things.
Yeah, like I think that Law in this arc, like, is at his best when like the Straw Hats are kind of like making fun of him, either like intentionally or unintentionally. Like that one part where they like tie Chopper to his hat, and he's just like, "What the fuck?" Like, and he is like the straight man in like those situations, like, but for an actual joke, and like I'm like totally fine with that. But it's just that I feel like a lot of the times, like when he's around, it's like, okay, this is like a serious thing, and like the narrative treats him as just like a very, serious, edgy kind of like guy. And I don't know, it just does it sometimes feels out of place. Like I'm not saying like everything with Law is bad, but I definitely think that there were moments where I was like, oh great, more Law.
I
And I
def
feel like he got more focus than a lot of the Straw Hats this arc, which like I wasn't a huge fan of.
I think I don't know. I feel like we got so much focus on the Straw Hats last arc that I was kind of okay with them focusing a bit more because like with them kind of like I said, they focused last so much last arc on the Straw Hats, like, and the most of the questions I had coming in post time skip were like of the characters that were part of what we saw pre time skip, like Shabandi Archipelago. So that's like
Yeah.
all the new rookies, and then also like the admirals, and also like the Shichibukai that we saw in the war. So like we've already gotten like most of the answers about what the Straw Hats are up to and like how they're operating. So getting some answers on like Law, for instance, is a very interesting character because like he was there before and he saves Luffy after the war, so you kind of want to know what he's all about. And to see him like now he's a Shichibukai and like he's kind of doing his own thing, but like not really. He's got his own plan for well he ends up allying with Luffy to take down some Yonkai, but he definitely seems like his own kind of guy and like he offers a very interesting um, perspective on the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I just sort of like, there's some moments where I think he's presented as too edgy. Like there was like the one part where like he's introduced and then all of the Marines are like, oh, like he became a Shichibukai by delivering 100 pirate hearts to Marine HQ. It's just like that kind of had me rolling my eyes a little bit. Like, really? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
Like
I never really
the
thought too much about that. I was just kind of like, eh.
I love
Yeah.
the idea of the alliance. It's like if you have any chance of taking on a Yonko, you've got to team up with whoever you can.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do like that. That's kind of like how they're setting up like the um it kind of seems like they're setting up the new world and like the post time skip One Piece to be a lot more about like the interplay between like these like different factions and stuff, because at this point we pretty much know all the major players, and so it's just like how are we going to get through them. And yeah, I mean it's great because it makes them seem like that much more of a threat, that like you need to team up with other crews in order to take them down. And then also it's just sort of like One Piece is becoming more like about the politics of these like different factions and like how they're interacting with each other. Just because at this
Strategy
point, like
to it.
we,
hmm
yeah, and like we like I almost feel like the up to the time skip was all about like learning about the world, and now it's like we know a lot of our questions have been answered. Obviously there's still a lot more to be answered, but at this point it's less about finding out about the world and like more about like actually like changing it and like changing the structure and stuff.
yeah. And something also I have noticed is like it seems like before the time skip, it almost seemed like bounty focused, like power scale wise, and it seems like now, I mean, we're only like 2 arcs into the new world, 3 arcs, and it seems like very now like okay, everyone's powerful, like it's how you use that power, and like it's a bit more flexible with that. Like, yeah, you've got like a number you can attach to somebody, but it doesn't really mean too much in like a straight up
Hmm.
fight because like I think they even have like a throwaway line like yeah, okay, Luffy, your bounty is like 400 million or whatever right now, but like after a certain point, like it just gets so hard to increase past 400 million, it just doesn't matter anymore. So that's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
nice
I
because
think
like
Jinbei said that. Yeah.
I was like a bit like I'm not like super against power levels or anything in anime. I'm like relatively okay with them, but it does get a bit tedious, and I really like the bounty system, but it's kind of nice
Yeah,
that
I agree. I
they're
think the
kind of
bounty
moving.
system is like way better than most power levels just because it actually represents something concrete. It's like and something that has like a very like identifiable meaning in universe. It's like
Yeah,
literally how much of a threat the world government perceives you to be. So it's completely based on that perception. It doesn't necessarily indicate power
yeah,
because Nico Robin had like a higher bounty than the like than everyone in the crew pretty much when she was like 4. So
but that's just because of her
that
big
just
brain. Yeah,
yeah. Well, and then also like what yeah her big brain basically and like what she'd seen and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
She
yeah.
yeah,
knows.
it's like I like that bounties are a little bit
She
more flexible than just
knows.
power levels.
Yeah, I definitely like the fact that it's not some arbitrary like this guy's got 300 million power points inside of him. That's how strong
Yeah,
he is. It's like, okay,
yeah,
this is like a very
You
realistic.
got a high midichlorian count.
Yeah, he's got 300 millicalorians, guys.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like a very
yeah,
realistic in-universe explanation for how relatively how strong someone is. And like I said earlier, it's like it's pretty like wishy-washy. Like a 350 million guy and a 400 million guy, like it's probably pretty similar. And also before the time skip, we found out like I think it was Kid had like a bounty of like 450 million or something. He had like the highest bounty out of everybody, but they also like
hmm
mentioned like he had done more like outright like things against like he had like pillaged and destroyed places
yeah.
before.
Like he didn't care about like collateral damage
Yeah,
basically. Like yeah,
yeah.
I
So
guess still now we need to remember that Luffy hasn't done anything in 2 years.
yeah,
So,
hmm
his bounty would be much higher than it is now if he were doing things.
yeah, exactly.
hmm
Um, and I guess we really haven't learned too much about the other people in the that generation besides Law, because
yeah,
Law just becomes a Shichibukai, so that bounty just kind of
yeah.
it's like the previous bounty or whatever. Um,
hmm
but yeah, I'm very curious to see
Yeah,
how
I
they
don't
go with
think we
that
got
because
updated bounties for any of the members of the new alliance,
yeah,
the Kid, Hawkins, and Apu alliance. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think we have either. Um, I'm I don't think we'll get bounties for. I mean, they haven't really done anything against the military yet, have they? The main squad. All they've done is Fishman Island, and this was kind of against the Marines, but not really.
Yeah,
So
not really, because Smoker basically said, "All right, like we're gonna not really talk about this. Like we're just gonna pretend this didn't happen."
yeah, so it's possible we don't see that happen for a while because now they're going to Dressrosa, which is going to be more underworld based. So it's very possible we don't see bounty rise for a while.
Potentially, yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess we'll go back to talking about the not the bounties, but the
The
events of
arc.
the arc. um,
Will mentioned he didn't care for the setting, and actually, I did enjoy the ice and the lava.
I I enjoyed it early on. I just think that I think I've maybe mentioned this before, but like Fishman Island, I love like the backgrounds and the colorfulness of Fishman Island, and like
hmm
when most of the chapters just like white snow, like it's kind of boring to me, I guess. And also we've already had a very snowy thing with
Right,
uh
but one of your favorite arcs is on the Drum Island.
no, that's what I'm saying. It's not one of my favorite arcs because it's like a boring Drum Island. has like it was like the same exact like, oh, this is extremely snowy type of thing. And the fact that they spent, I think I would have enjoyed it more if they spent more of time on the fireside, but the fireside they spent so little time on in this
Yeah,
one.
they really just speed ran through the fireside. Yeah,
Yeah. And I've also
yeah.
like they were talking about like the best places for a secret base, and I feel like if you're to choose an island that's got an ice side and a fireside, like a fireside sounds a bit better for a secret base, right? Because like if you're going to go to that island, everyone's gonna be going to the ice side, right? No one's going to the fireside,
Yeah, but like, it's like it would probably the logistics of needing to maintain a base in the fireside are probably pretty,
I guess.
like he
Yeah.
has minions, like they need to like be able to like move about and stuff. It'd be kind of weird
But he
if
was
they were
fully
just like
prepared.
on
He
fire
was
all the
fully
time.
prepared to run the logistics of a poison island, so.
That's fair, yeah. But also, yeah, yeah, I guess that's true. But he doesn't really care about his underlings that much. But up until the point where he actually executed the poison experiment, he kind of needed them to a
Yeah.
certain extent. Like they were useful to keep around for a while, and he was also using them to help with like the gigantification experiments on the kids and stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, probably would be
Um.
hard to like bring kids into a fire base.
Yeah. I think it was an alright setting. It felt very Drum Island to me and very, like I said, like the. I guess this is just me being uh reading in color, having the advantage of reading in color, so I'm able to compare like Fishman Island to the whiteness of the snow being kind of boring, but
Hmm.
That's
we
fair
get past
enough.
all the color chapters, then I probably notice it less.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I think that I like the part about the setting, like the historical piece, that like
Yeah.
it used to be normal, and the reason that it's like this now is because of how like the battle between Aokiji and Akainu like affected the island. Like, that's really cool. But that like is like one moment. There are like so many other great like One Piece settings that have like that just keep on giving, where they like my favorite part of like a lot of like One Piece arcs is like them exploring the island and kind of like interacting with the environment and like figuring out like, oh, like this is how the island kind of works. And
Hmm.
I feel like this arc was not one of like those arcs. Like it wasn't the setting was not like its own like character in the same way that like Skypiea is like the setting is like so important to like the arc as a whole,
Or like
or like
Water 7 where they
Alabasta
Yeah.
when
have
they
like
like
the
are like traversing like the entire desert and like the setting is like super inherent to like the villain.
yeah.
So not one of
I
the
get that.
stronger settings, but yeah.
They get there and it's like nothing's there
Yeah.
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 besides a dragon.
Couple or three
Yeah.
dragons, I think, total.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. Yeah, if you count Momo, then yeah.
yeah. Um just going through the villains, I guess. We kind of talked about Caesar already. I thought he was cool. He kind of reminded me of like obviously he's kind of like a mix between Smoker and Magellan, and he even has like a
Hmm.
throwaway line like "Don't you dare compare me to that cockroach Magellan" or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but we kind of learned that like Luffy's I don't know if he's immune to all poison, but he seems to be immune to all the poisons we've seen him get exposed to
Yeah.
so far. I think we've seen
Yeah,
him
because
like
of
two or
Magellan
three
basically.
times with poison now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
He's got the antibodies from fighting Magellan.
yeah, so that's pretty
But
cool.
luckily for Caesar at least, he's more than just a poison guy. I thought his
Yeah,
devil fruit was really cool just because I like how we see him, um, like take out all of the air around people's heads and stuff.
yeah.
Like that's like super deadly and like really cool. Um, what I was disappointed with was like that the final confrontation with Caesar was essentially just Luffy punching real hard. And this kind of goes back to like my complaints about hockey is that like, if this was an arc where hockey didn't exist and that wasn't like a crutch that they could use, like both Luffy could use that to beat him, but then also like Oda as a writer is kind of using hockey as a crutch. It feels like because if he didn't have hockey, then he would have to like write in some like interesting way, like they had to like come up with a way to counter it. Whereas like there's like a lot less of that back and forth where it's like that we had with Crocodile, where it's like okay, he first like seems like a completely overwhelming threat that there's no way that he could beat him, but then he like slowly figures out a way to counter him. There's none of that. It's just like okay, he realizes that he needs to kind of like stretch around him so that he can like avoid the spots where he's sucking all the air out, and
Yeah.
then he just punches him.
Yeah,
So I thought it was kind of like an anticlimactic ending for a villain that had like a really cool devil fruit.
I can see that, but also like I feel like you'd want to save those moments for like, and I'm sure that we might see those in the future with hockey. I think he might want to be saving those. I do agree that it could be a crutch, but he could be like saving those cool moments where he has to figure something out for like a better villain, I guess. Like saved it for Crocodile because like up until that point I think he had battled a couple of Logia types and like I feel like
And he hadn't
he's
been able to.
probably
Yeah,
he's
I think it was
probably
just
saving
Smoker,
for
but he wasn't
those
able to damage him. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like he's probably saving those big hockey moments where he has to like really think about how to defeat his opponent for like a more interesting opponent than just like basically kind of a smoker type of
Clown.
guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not saying that like, I've read, I'm caught up, so I'm not saying that like hockey is the end of One Piece. One Piece is still my favorite manga, so it's like clearly there are still like good things to come. I'm just saying, I would say in this case, this was a point where I can easily say, oh, like here, this could have been more interesting if there was like, if hockey wasn't a thing.
yeah,
Because it's like there's no reason why you can't have that like in every arc. Well, or just like yeah, like in every arc where there's like a Logia user. It's not like Logia users are all over the place. You could just make it so that like whenever you have a Logia user, they need to do a little bit more of that crocodile style, um, like finding the counter and stuff.
yeah, I can see that.
Because I mean, as we've kind of gone through, there are like some things in this arc that weren't the most compelling and could probably be like taken out and replaced with some of that. So
Yeah. I did like his devil fruit. As you mentioned, like as soon as he said he like he does like gas and air out or as soon as they mentioned it, I was just like, "Oh, he's going to be doing like he could probably do something similar like what they do in Legend of Korra when the Zahir, the airbender, he like goes to the kingdom and like fucking sucks the air out of the lungs of the queen and it's like that's pretty
mhm.
OP. And then they just did that like two pages after that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like that's OP
Yeah.
as hell. But then they have to limit it with like a range or whatever, but that is a very strong devil fruit if you use it
It's
correctly.
like the
Yeah,
blood
exactly.
bending.
Yeah, it's like blood bending, which I'm curious to see if we see something similar with some kind of devil fruit.
But here's my take on Caesar Clown. I think I think we got what was advertised. Like we know he's a mad scientist who's got these devious plans with Doflamingo and the underworld. And even first couple times we see him, we know he's a Weasley rat.
Yeah,
He's not there to be a big beefy boy, put up a fight. He's there to do his science, and he's got a cool devil fruit. And I think we got what was advertised. We went to the island to capture Caesar Clown because he's a part of this big dealings going on.
yeah. He definitely reminded me of a mix between Magellan and fuck, what's the Halloween Island guy's name? I always forget his name.
Gecko
Moria.
Moria.
Gecko Moria. Yeah, he kind of has the Weasley part of Gecko Moria, even though Moria wasn't as Weasley as this guy is, but and then he's kind of got his own, or not his own, a fruit. Um, Logia kind of similar to Moria's, poison-wise. He's definitely more Weasley. I'm trying to think of another character that we've seen that's as Weasley. I mean, he's not nowhere close to Buggy levels of Weasel, but he's
Yeah.
Weasley for sure.
Well, I
Maybe
don't know. In
like
some ways, he
Wapple.
kind of is because, like,
Yeah, Waffle's a
in
good
some ways, I'd say
comparison.
he's. Oh yeah, Wapple is a great comparison. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Wa-
I don't know. In some ways, I would say Buggy is less Weasley because, like, this guy like does not care at all about like sacrificing his underlings. But do you really see like Buggy being so heartless with all of the people that pledged to him in the war? Like, I almost feel like he would be saddened if he had to like sacrifice their lives. Like I feel like Buggy like he's he's got like a good heart, like way deep down.
Yeah, I'd
He may be
say
really, really greedy, and he like, he's trying to get out of a lot of things, but I don't think that he's like so heartless with like sacrificing people's
I'd say
lives.
they're probably equally Weasley, but Buggy is a like a nicer weasel. Like he's not
Sure, yeah,
not as
like in yeah,
evil of a weasel. Like he would probably sell out his friends, but like he wouldn't if they were close enough to him. I don't think he would like want them to die or anything.
yeah,
Like
like that, like Caesar was like literally like willing to use them all just for an experiment, just so that he could like show
yeah,
off his new weapon. Like
yeah,
I don't think that Buggy would do anything so heartless.
yeah. I think Walpole's a very good comparison because Walpole also had a pretty well at the time it was a relatively strong devil fruit. We could just I don't know even know if it was strong. It was kind of gimmicky, but like it was good enough where you could use it to fight, like eat and things, and like it was interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
But also
yeah,
like he didn't really want to use it. He was kind of like running around
yeah,
like a weasel. um,
yeah.
but yeah, I agree. We probably I definitely think we got what we were promised with Caesar. He wasn't anything less than he needed to be, and he wasn't anything more than he needed to be.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, his underlings were interesting. They mention uh, the bird lady when she's first mentioned,
Monet.
she's like they like straight up mention Doflamingo, I think. They're like, where have I seen a bird person before? Oh yeah, Doflamingo.
Mm-hmm.
So that like immediately put up a flag because I don't think that they had mentioned Doflamingo up until that point.
In
Um,
the arc, probably not.
in the arc, I
Yeah, I
don't
don't think
think.
that we got like our confirmation on the connection between here and Doflamingos until Law basically told everyone.
Yeah, and then also up until that point we had gotten like okay, this is one moment that I was confused with the other guy, forgot his name again, but
Virgo.
Virgo, yeah. Virgo, was he being controlled by Doflamingo, or was he like just doing was he acting of his own volition
He's an owl. Like he wasn't like being like puppeted by Doflamingo, like controlled in the same way that like we saw other
with the
people been
giants and
controlled. Yeah, yeah, he wasn't like that, but he's like an ally of Doflamingo. Like he's
okay,
basically like he was like an undercover um ally of Doflamingo acting as a marine.
okay, because
Yeah.
they showed like the Doflamingo Denda and Mushi that he had on him, and I was curious if that was like controlling him or something. Because we've known Doflamingo, and everyone's like they kept like going over the fact like, oh, this is so much different. Like this is not the same person that you know. Something's wrong with him. And I was like, oh, I feel like he's under
Oh yeah, I
control.
think that's just because like the Marines were basically coping. They were like,
Yeah,
and they didn't want to like they like I think that like Smoker and Tashigi were like that whole deal was like they were like, oh, we don't want to like these guys look up to Virgo so much. We don't want to like tell them that he's actually like an undercover guy
yeah,
who like is a traitor. So I think that was the deal. Like he actually is a traitor to the Marines. So
okay, that makes more
yeah.
sense. Yeah, that makes more sense for sure. He was a vice admiral, right? He was vice admiral.
I think he was on that level. Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, that would make
Yeah,
sense. Yeah. There's not that many of those.
yeah, he seemed pretty strong for sure. I mean, he broke
Yeah.
Sanji's leg, which we haven't seen anything do so far.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's got the black
He
legs.
yeah. He had
Strong enough.
full hockey on his legs at that point, I'm pretty sure.
hmm
Yeah.
Um,
He was no match for the Trafalgar Law.
no,
Yeah.
sir.
I thought it was like kind of silly that they were like they they basically said like Virgo, like he like said, "Oh, now that I've been like using my hockey, like you can't cut me with your fruit or whatever." And then like Law basically just like does it anyway. Like I don't know, it just seems like an artificial way to like make that moment seem cool because it's like if he just like wasn't using hockey, like the same thing would have happened. It would have resulted in the same thing where it's like, oh, Law did like a really cool thing where he like cut the guy, but it's like they basically just wanted to make it even more hype, so they were like, "Oh, you can't cut me," but then he did it anyway.
Oh, I
I
thought
don't
that was
know. It
because he
just
had
seemed like,
the Kairoseki sword. Because they like made a point of
well,
mentioning the Kairoseki sword previously in the chapter, and like up until that
but
point.
I don't think that Kairoseki like stops hockey.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I figured like his
Yeah, so
devil fruit was like something that was like if he infused it with hockey, like if you say he was made out of iron. What was his? I don't even know what his fruit was. Was he just made out of
I don't think he
iron?
had a fruit. I think he was just like a high level armament hockey
Oh,
user,
okay. I thought he had
basically.
like a fruit that just made him like sturdier, like he was made out of steel or something.
No, yeah, I think like his whole body being black was basically just like that armament hockey.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's what you mentioned earlier with the artistic, like them showing hockey or whatever.
Yeah, like that's how they indicate that
Okay,
the hockey is being
okay.
used with
Yeah, I
like the
didn't pick up
black.
on that. I thought that was his devil fruit or something.
No.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, definitely interesting. We also saw the guy who could cut fire. That's pretty cool. And then as
Yeah,
soon
that
as
was
he like
sick.
did it,
Yeah.
Zoro was like, "Oh, we could keep this guy around." Because Zoro was like, "I'm gonna learn from this guy."
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then when they get back on the ship, he immediately notices Zoro's sword and is like, "I'm gonna fight you for that sword because it's a sword from Wano,
Yeah.
the sword that he got from the
Yeah, he's
Shadow
basically
of
mad
Brook."
at him. Yeah, he was mad. No, no, that was the one that he got from Thriller Bark.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Shadow of Brook.
Oh, the Shadow of Brook. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought you
yeah.
said something
When
else.
Brook got his dark shadow
But yeah,
soul.
so like he's basically getting mad at him for something that Moria did, because like Moria was the one who like robbed the grave, but he's like, oh, you must have like robbed the grave to take that sword.
Yeah,
So
but it's nice to see the recognition there because we mentioned Wano previously. So
yeah, now it's like we're actually these guys are we know people from Wano, like
yeah,
we're we're getting closer, I guess.
a whole two people.
Yeah, two people. Well, and we also know that they are looking for one of their allies in
Yeah, he says he's got a
Dressrosa.
comrade in Dressrosa.
Yeah, so
So it
maybe
happens we're going there.
yeah.
Woohoo! Dressrosa is one of the arcs that I always heard. Uh, I think I always heard Luke and I think Max talking about whenever they were talking about One Piece, it was always like Water 7 or Any Slavi or Dressrosa. So I'm expecting a pretty good arc coming up.
Interesting.
Also, it's like
Well, it's
100
a very
chapters, right?
long arc. Yeah, it's the longest arc so far.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
strap in.
yeah, because I
um,
would honestly consider this kind of like a kind of like a setup arc for Dressrosa. Like a lot of this stuff is like the conflict has not really been resolved, right? Like I mean we beat Caesar and we captured him, but the purpose of that was to get to Doflamingo. So
yeah.
it's like this kind of was a setup arc for Dressrosa. So it's like when your setup arc is 50 chapters, like you know it's going to be a long arc.
Yep. Yep. Well, when your regular arc is 100 chapters, you know it's gonna be a long arc.
Yeah.
um, what other villains were there? Weren't a lot of like henchmen.
You got my guys, the Cool
Oh
Brothers.
yeah, those
Oh
guys
yeah,
are
the Yeti
The
Cool
Yeti
brothers.
Cool brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys are funny. Well, I don't know if they
Pretty
were funny,
weird.
but I just love their name, the Yeti Cool brothers.
Yeah.
They were like
Pretty
ice hitmen.
mysterious, honestly. Like, were they giants? Like, were they like a different race? Like, who knows? They
Yeah,
never really said.
they might have been
Oh, they
Yetis.
didn't. And they seem to be like inhabitants to the island.
Yeah. Which is
Like
interesting because it's like it only recently became icy. So, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe they were around when it was like because they said it was like a jungle island before like all the crazy stuff happened. So maybe they were around. Maybe they were like
maybe they were the Bigfoot
Sasquatch
cool
brothers.
maybe they were the Bigfoot Cool Brothers
They were the
Yeah.
same.
before.
They were the same Squanch Cool brothers.
The same squanch, yeah.
um,
I could
go
see it.
going to the island being uninhabited. I was confused because they mentioned at the beginning like Aokiji and Ekainu's fight becoming making it why it's uninhabited or why it's like icy and fiery. But then later in the chapter they mention Vegapunk's weapon.
Yeah, so basically what I think the timeline of events was like Vegapunk had a lab there. There was like the whole thing, but then Caesar set off like the bomb or like the poison thing, and that basically wiped out all life on it. And so then it was just like a dead island. There was just like nothing on it. And because it was uninhabited, they chose that as the spot for
Oh,
their fight. And so that's why it was ice and fire after that.
gotcha,
So it's not
gotcha.
that like that event caused it to be uninhabited. It's that like it was already uninhabited. That's why they fought there.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
But yeah,
also got
also we are kind of in the shadow of Vegapunk this arc.
yeah.
So
That was also what it reminded me of was the Frankie cover story with him going to Vegapunk's island. That's it very reminded me of that because it was like a lab setting on an ice island.
that's true. Yeah.
Um,
And that's just a coincidence because it's not like Vegapunk like chose Ice Island. because it
Well, it
wasn't a
seems like
nice
he's
item
got a
back then.
trend so far. If I know anything, it means two samples means a trend.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Can't argue with that.
we also got punished Brownbeard this chapter. Every
Oh
single
yeah, Brownbeard.
every single 10 pages, Brownbeard's getting like nearly killed. Punished Brownbeard was I was
Dude's a
laughing.
tank.
I don't even know if it was supposed to be funny, but I was laughing my ass off because he kept getting his ass beat. Like he had the Yeti Cool brothers just roll up on him and absolutely murder him. And then he comes back and like tells everybody, and then he gets his ass beat like three more times throughout the chapter or throughout the
Yeah.
arc.
And he was already kind of punished when like the arc started. He didn't like his legs were replaced with the giant crocodile body.
Yeah, because he got
So
attacked.
like,
He got beat up by. Did he get beat up by Blackbeard? He get beat up by another person. He was like, "Yeah, I'm cool," and then that person just smoked his ass.
I think it was I think it was Hawkins, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It was definitely one of like the supernovas. Oh god, I should remember this. I'm pretty sure it's Hawkins. I'm
Yeah,
gonna look it up right now.
but yeah, Brownbeard. He's in the running for most punished character for
Yeah, but
sure.
he's honestly I kind of liked Brownbeard this arc. Like I
Oh
was
yeah, I
into
did
it.
too, for
It's
sure.
just yeah. I definitely think it was intentional for him to get like just bodied all the time.
Hmm. He was huge.
Yeah, it was Hawkins that he lost to. Yeah.
Hmm. So we've got Brownbeard, Whitebeard, and Blackbeard. Who's next?
Yeah. Where how we
I think
can
it's
do
just
more beard.
Smoker.
Oh yeah, we got. Well, there could be a Redbeard. Red's a hair color. Blonde beard.
They could definitely do Redbeard.
Do a blonde beard.
Oh, you're talking about what other beards we got?
Yeah, what other beards are
Yeah.
coming out?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, Brownbeard actually had a beard, you know, like
Yeah,
Whitebeard, not really much of a beard.
I never really thought about that. Neither Blackbeard or Whitebeard really have much of a beard.
Yeah,
No.
Damn.
kind of interesting.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Maybe we get a gray beard.
Because
Oh.
Blackbeard kind of does like he has like a little bit, but it's definitely not like a majestic beard.
It's weak.
Like Brownbeard has the best beard out of all of the beards, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, no doubt.
Blackbeard's got a weak beard.
Yeah,
Brownbeard had his beard braided.
Yeah, he's like a Viking
yeah,
Yeah.
that's Chad,
with four legs.
extremely Chad. Yeah,
Um, Other notable characters this arc. I guess we could
yeah.
talk about
Well,
Tashigi and
we kind of
Smoker.
oh yeah, yeah.
They kind of had a thing.
She
Tashigi
kind of just
got her ass
Tashigi
beat
kind of
again.
got bodied. Yeah, like not really much of an improvement for Tashigi.
Tashigi's
I mean
always
this
there to just get shown up by Zorro.
yeah, and this one I don't feel like is intentional. Well, maybe I don't know. Like yeah, I don't know. Like it doesn't feel like she's supposed to be a joke character on the same level as Brownbeard. So it kind of has me scratching my head a bit.
I'm curious where they want to go. Like, I think we mentioned last time they showed up, like, Tashigi is like Zorro's Kobe Helmeppo kind of character, right?
Yeah, but like at least Kobe is like, you know, he had a moment during the war and like he is developing hockey. Whereas like Tashigi does not really seem like she's developing any signs of confidence.
Wait, doesn't I thought they mentioned she had hockey?
Sure, but like, you know, I don't know. Honestly, like what matters is like what they do, you know? And
Yeah,
like Kobe like had a moment. It's like Tashigi didn't really have a moment this arc, even though like
she got bodied
she,
by
you know, she barely ever shows up and she showed up in this arc, so you kind of expect her to have
yeah,
something.
she got killed by the bird lady, and then
Yeah.
Zorro
By
walks
the
up and
way,
chops her in half without even using hockey.
yeah. By the way, I love Monet. Monet is awesome.
I liked her.
She's great. I
Oh,
love
well,
huh.
she kind of goes into this, but I loved like the t-shirts in this arc were so stupid. Like Monet was rocking a t-shirt that just says like happy, and then
Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caesar had like a jacket on that on each side of the jacket it just said gas.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, Frankie had a t-shirt that had said in big letters, JK, and then the very bottom, LMNOPQRS. It was like, what? What? Who's
Yeah, no,
making these?
that's the best one.
That was
I
my
forgot about
favorite
that
for
one.
sure. I was like, what does JK mean? I like had to zoom in on the page to see what the bottom of his shirt said. It just said the rest of the alphabet. I was like, what the hell is that shirt?
That's some
Um,
Oda shit right there.
yeah. But yeah, I did like her as a character. She was well, not in her ice form, but for the rest of it, she was a cutie.
She's a big cutie. I like it when she has her like swirly glasses on. Oh yeah, it works for me. It definitely works for me. And she's a bird.
And
How
she's a
cool is
bird,
that?
an ice bird.
Yeah, yeah, I like
Wait,
Monet.
she was ice? I thought she was paper.
No, she's like snow,
Snow,
because
Oh,
yeah.
Aokiji's ice, but she like makes a snow hut, and then they're like, oh, it's
right.
really cold
Okay,
in
now I
here.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She can bite your shoulder real hard, but only your
yeah, she
shoulder.
did. She did bite your shoulder. Yeah, yeah, that looked like it would actually hurt, not like the fun kind of biting.
Yeah. And she was about to blow up the island, and then the old switcheroo got pulled on her. Law switched
Yeah,
Smoker's heart for her heart. So, guess we won't be
yeah. So
seeing her
she
anymore.
is.
She was like the only person
Yeah,
that died this chapter,
yeah.
or this arc.
Well, I forget. Did Virgo die? I kind of forget. I don't. I don't.
Virgo
I
was
don't.
going to die, but if the island blew up, but the island didn't blow up. So I think
Yeah, I think Virgo, because like
he's chilling in
Law's
pieces on a
cuts do
fence.
not kill.
Yeah,
Yeah, Law's cuts do not kill. So
yeah. So he's just chilling in pieces, hanging on a fence, I think.
yeah, so someone could potentially reassemble Virgo someday. Who knows?
We never talked about the Straw Hats being in each other's bodies.
Oh yeah.
That
Oh
was really
yeah, dude.
fun. Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah. I think
nice.
I might have talked about it with like Kyle very briefly, but I
Yeah,
absolutely love how Oda like drew each of like they did like the same bodies that they normally have, but he gave them faces that you could recognize as other characters' faces.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
especially like Frankie and Chopper's body was one of my favorites. Was just like you could tell the face on Chopper's body was Frankie's face. It was absolutely
dude.
hilarious.
Yeah, and like Will, you mentioned this, but like Robin has such a great moment in this
Yeah.
arc when like Chopper, like Frankie's just talking in Chopper's body, and like he's just making like the craziest expressions, and like and Robin is just like, never talk again. Like just never make that face again.
Yeah, she's like constantly
So
like, "How dare you do that to my cute friend Chopper? Like, don't do that with
yeah,
Chopper's body." um,
You had
it's great how
Sanji and
possessive
Nami's
she is
body.
of Chopper.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was
yeah, that was good too.
Sanji and Nami's body was definitely another highlight, and also, I mean, Nami and Sanji's body too.
Yeah,
um, but yeah, he's like, "I'm sorry, I had to." Well, after all, like of course, like the initial part of it where he's just like, "Holy shit, I'm in Nami's body." But he's like, "I'm sorry, I have to do this, Nami," and then takes off the jacket and like goes underwater. And then when they do get the body back, she's like, "You switched my coat," and she just beats his ass,
yeah,
further
yeah.
solidifying the theory that
Further,
Nami's
yeah,
the strongest.
exactly. Yeah, Nami is should be ranked very high on the power level charts. That's for sure.
It's
Let's see.
everyone on the Straw Hat crew.
Yeah,
Who else got switched with who else? Well, Nami was in somebody else's body first, wasn't she?
yeah. Nami was in Frankie's body at first
Oh
because they
yeah,
didn't have everyone required to make the switch. They had like they had so I think it was four of them got switched, and then like when Law met up with them again, there were only three of them. So like they couldn't complete the switch. Yeah.
yeah,
So Nami was in Frankie's body. Frankie was in Chopper's body. Chopper was in Sanji's.
yeah. I think so.
Yeah, and then Sanji was in Nami's body. And then when they got like almost fixed, I think that Sanji and Nami's body was going,
Yeah,
like doing the thing with the Yeti Cool brothers. So
yeah.
that's why like Nami got put in Sanji's body.
The Yeti Cool brothers.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Tashigi and Smoker got switched, which was funny because you
Hmm.
get to see like the. Well, I think it was funny because like Tashigi's like body has Smoker's normal face, and she's also got the double cigar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah,
Like Smoker was just like destroying Tashigi's lungs, like
Yeah,
when he was in her body.
absolutely annihilated Tashigi's lungs more than Caesar ever could.
Yeah, that's facts.
Um, yeah.
I still wonder if it's a coincidence that Tashigi looks exactly like Kawina from Zoro's childhood
Yeah, they
that
mentioned
fell
it.
down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like they mentioned it in the very beginning when Zoro first saw her, and like that was it. But
They mentioned in this arc too as well. She's like, you
hmm,
will never hurt me or you'll never kill me because, and then they like had like a minor, like a half a page flashback to like that moment where he's like, you look like her. And I was
yeah,
like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they
So it's not
keep
like,
they keep dropping it in. Then yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Honestly, I kind of think it is a coincidence, and I think it's just like, it's just there to kind of like make Zoro like more, you know, like
kind of
I think
remind him
it's
why
I
he's
think
there or what.
yeah, like remind him of like his, because I don't know, it kind of seems to me like he's got this like deep seated like dissatisfaction at like, and like that's why he became a swordsman, was because he could never like actually defeat someone who like beat him so much because like she was like a woman. And like for one, like he wasn't prepared to accept like the fact that he would just be stronger by virtue of being a man. But then also like he was like the fact that he never even got the chance to like have that victory because she died early. Like I think that like those things like kind of like fucked Zoro up. And so I think that like that's kind of why, like at least narratively, why she looks like Kuina, because she's like supposed to like remind Zoro of like his, that's like, because Zoro doesn't really have like a tragic backstory the way some other Straw Hats do, but like that is like kind of like the small tragedy like at the heart of Zoro's character, I would say.
That's why
So I think
Zorro
it's kind of
hates
just,
stairs.
yeah.
He hates the
Zoro does hate
stairs.
stairs. Yeah, like that's actually can't like have we talked about this before?
No, I don't think so. I was just joking. He
No, there's
cannot.
actually so many times. You know how like Zoro like is like the one who doesn't, he like has bad directions and stuff.
Hmm.
There are like so many times, like so I saw like a compilation where it's like somebody made a compilation of like all of the times where like Zoro goes the wrong way, not every single time, but a lot of them is like him choosing not to go upstairs. And it's like literally because of like Kuina fell down the stairs is like the theory.
All
Is
right.
why like
I still have
like
yet to see
the
a
one,
more pathetic death than falling downstairs.
yeah, well that's kind of the point, but yeah. Yeah,
We
I'm
should
sure
talk.
Zoro would have much rather killed her than her fall down the stairs, because then at least he could get his catharsis.
Yeah. We should probably talk about the drug addict giant babies. I don't know. For me, that whole subplot was kind of whatever. It was kind of like a subplot
I agree with
for
that.
Momo's
Yeah.
I
introduction,
agree.
but
Yeah.
I was just like, it just seemed like they needed strong like fodder to not fodder, but like something to be a blocking or like a something to structurally keep the Straw Hats out of certain places or like push them towards certain places. And before the gas came, it was just like a wave of ginormous children looking for drugs, and like
Yeah.
they were just
Also, kind
constantly
of like
attacking.
as an emotional core, I would say, like of the arc, is like kind of like, okay, we need to save the kids. That's kind of like the emotional reason why we're
Yeah,
here. Um, or like why we're like, at least for some of the characters, and then also, I think that was kind of the intent, was that like the audience would connect to that more. Like a lot of like the arcs, like basically every arc, there's like, you know, they're trying to like beat the bad guy and stuff, but it's like most of the time it's like because there's some emotional reason. Like in Skypiea, like it was so that they could like fulfill the dreams of like uh you know um Nolan on like, or Cricket on like the surface, and like also fulfill the dreams of like Calgara, from like way in the past. Calgara and Nolan did stuff. So there's like emotional reasons why you want to like beat the bad guy. It's not just
yeah.
like beating the bad guy.
Hmm.
And like in Alabasta, there's like all of like it's like a nation that is in turmoil that they're trying to like protect and stuff. And most of the time it's like uh that stuff actually works, but I feel like in this arc it didn't really work that well. Like I didn't really care that much about the kids,
Yeah, I
just
didn't
because they were
care.
kind of annoying, and they kind of like you said, they kind of act as an obstacle a lot of the arc, so it's like hard for them to be like hard for you to like obviously in my brain I'm like, obviously they're kids, like they shouldn't be subjected to this. But it's like at the same time, whenever they're on screen, I'm being annoyed. It's hard for me to connect with them on an emotional level because they like do like functionally act as an obstacle.
Yeah. And the one kid that they wanted you to care about, I feel like they introduced her really late. They like I I didn't notice her until like when she
Yeah,
was
they didn't really
actually like
make an attempt to differentiate her early on.
yeah,
Yeah,
early on
the
they
one who
didn't make
ate
an
all the
attempt at
drugs.
all, and then like they try to get you to care about her like a bit later. Well, obviously when she's like running away and like they have like a minor flashback with her like after she eats the candy and like I don't know, just didn't care about her. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
Much about the kid's story, but I did find the idea of Caesar working on uh, something that would produce giants to be extremely interesting
Yeah,
because that's like, that's like the equivalent of the super soldier serum. Like if you could make an army of giants, like,
yeah,
they're just physically stronger in every way and you would be unstoppable.
yeah. I do think that that setup is very interesting, and I'm really curious to see if that's like because like they kind of harp on the fact that Vegapunk is like a superior scientist in every way. So I'm kind of curious to see if Vegapunk is already like trying to kind of gone into that, and if we do see something about that. But yeah, like the idea of creating giants, like you said, it's like this world's equivalent of a super soldier type of thing.
hmm
Um, and I think it would have been cool to see like a more because they mentioned like how much this project's been failing. I think it would have been cool to see like maybe like have one of the fights be against like one of the more successful candidates, like a giant that was not
That would have
previously.
been
yeah.
cool.
That would have been
Like a
cool. Yeah,
teenage giant who made it
Yeah,
into the teenage years. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Um, but yeah, I do think that's a very interesting setup. I just think
yeah,
the whole children thing was eh, whatever.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Let's see. It's like most of the arc.
Uh, so there's a couple things that I want to talk
Oh,
about.
we got to talk about
One,
Aokiji showing up again.
oh yeah, I was going to talk about the end for one of them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Go
let's
ahead.
do that.
Go ahead.
Well, before that, earlier on in the arc, there's the slime. Remember,
Oh yeah.
like the slime that literally ate the like axolotl fruit or whatever. So it was basically like it was like a slime, but it was also like a lizard kind of.
Yeah.
Um, but like, so we see like I mean, it was kind of just like there as like kind of just like another hazard or whatever to deal with. But the one interesting thing that I want to bring up is that like when Caesar was like doing his experiment, he was like broadcasting to like all of his like broker underworld friends. Like they make a point out of like killing the axolotl with like the poison gas and stuff, and then like right next to the axolotl there's like a like a cart full of like apples that they had set up there,
Oh yeah, and one of the
and
apples turns like purple.
it looked like it turned into a devil fruit. So it's kind of like interesting, like maybe this is like what I think is that it's kind of like this is how the artificial devil fruit that Momo ate might have come about, right? Is like there's something to do with like if you have like some fruit, maybe that was already an artificial devil fruit or something, and this is how they like reproduce or whatever. Like when its user dies and like it just maybe turns a nearby fruit into a devil fruit or something, because
Hmm.
that's definitely what looked like happened in this case. It's just like how does that generalize? Like like what were the conditions that arose in order to make that happen?
Yeah.
Um, in question. Like, is it because of the artificial devil fruit thing? Does this happen to all devil fruits? Like, what's the deal with that? Like, we don't know at this point,
Yeah.
so we
It
can
is
only
interesting.
speculate.
I didn't realize it turned
I
into
like
devil
that
fruit. I
we
thought
are.
it was just like an apple going rotten or something. I should have noticed
Uh,
that.
yeah, because I think it was a devil fruit because like it was like it had like the swirly bits that the devil fruits usually have, um, and then also like only one of them turned. Like it wasn't like all of the apples. So
Yeah.
uh, interesting to say the least. I like that we are now uh, kind of like devil fruits have been something that haven't really been presented as like a question, you know? Like there are a lot of like things that are open questions like Vegapunk and stuff. Like that is like definitely something where it's like we are expecting a payoff at some point for that, right? But it's like devil fruits up until this point have just sort of been taken for granted as like one of the like just it's part of the premise of the
Yeah, it's
show
been accepted. Yeah.
of the
Hmm.
series, but now it's like this is almost like turning it into a question. It's like, whoa, like how do like devil fruits come about? Like how do they like when a user dies, like what happens to that fruit? Does it stick around? Like will it like reincarnate like we saw there? Like how does like what are the rules behind that? So
Yeah.
we're kind of asking questions about devil fruits now, which I like. It's like we're really getting to like the core of like the premise of One Piece, you know?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
also
mean,
goes all the way back to like Alabasta when they talk about Vegapunk making the fruits in general. Like they've been talking about
yeah,
Vegapunk
it's
making
like
these fruits for a long time, and now we're actually like seeing them. Well, we've
yeah,
been
because
seeing
now
them
we saw
for a
our
couple
first
times,
artificial
but
devil fruit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
with Momo. So it's like I think yeah, maybe Vegapunk made that. I think Vegapunk. I think they did say that Vegapunk made that one, but I'm not sure. I can't
made which one?
made Momo's fruit
Yeah, I think probably.
because they definitely said it was artificial.
Yeah, they definitely said it was artificial. If he's the only one making them, then yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think that like yeah yeah. That's all that I wanted to say about the fruits. But then also another thing is like the a lot of this like the reason that killing or not killing but capturing Caesar um like gets to Doflamingo and like the reason that he's a bargaining chip at all is because of their connection and that like Caesar produces the SAD that he like
The
sends over
sad.
to the sad which nice contrast with Monet's happy shirt
Yeah.
but he makes the SAD that he like that Doflamingo then uses um and it's part of this like supply chain that eventually turns into the 500 devil fruit user army that Kaido has. So
Hmm.
yeah, we're getting getting to Kaido through that.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
I thought the name of sad was hilarious because like it's like he's making the big sad.
Yeah,
There's this.
big sad. Yeah,
He is
and there was
making the
a big
big
old
set.
tank of sad.
Doflamingo needs the sad.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Gotta have my sad.
yeah. I'm very interested. That's probably like the main focus of the next, or I don't know, it's next arc after, but Dressrosa seems like that whole supply chain is
Hmm.
going to be pretty important. Um,
Yeah, and we saw some of Doflamingo's like crew members show up and
yeah.
kind of like fight with Frankie a little bit at the end, which is cool.
Well,
Um,
A, I really like that fight just because we get to see Frankie just fucking Terminator. I don't know Terminator mode, but it was like Mecha mode, and he's like,
yeah,
"Oh, was that supposed to
Fight with
hurt?"
Baby Five.
Yeah, it was Baby Five and what was the other guy's name?
oh, shoot, the guy, the helicopter guy, the
Yeah,
skinny
Yeah, I
guy.
know who you're talking about.
and they got absolutely wrecked by Frankie, and Frankie was just like shrugging off everything, and they're just like, "What the fuck do we do?" But Baby Five,
Yeah,
like, what's
yeah,
Baby Five's like fruit? She could literally become any weapon.
yeah,
Like that's OP as hell.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty OP. Yeah,
and actually, Oda has said he came around saying if he could give devil fruits to all the Straw Hats, that would be the one he gives to Frankie.
Yeah, that fits him for
yeah,
sure.
that would be OP on Frankie for sure.
That definitely fits him.
Yeah, the other guy's name was Buffalo, by the way, the spinny guy, the
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
helicopter guy.
Hmm.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I thought that was a good fight.
Yeah, it
I like
wasn't
both of
much of a
them.
fight, but it was nice to
Yeah,
see
Yeah,
Frankie.
it was a good clash.
Yeah.
and they both have good devil fruits. Like I like their devil fruits.
Hmm.
What was
Kind of like their
Buffalo's? He could just spin really fast.
he basically like yeah I mean his is like yeah literally like the spin I mean because they were using him to like fly basically as like a prop plane essentially
Yeah.
like he literally was like using his like his weird facial hair which is like a propellers and stuff to fly which is pretty funny pretty cool
And we learned
and I just
Doflamingo
like
could
his
fly,
design.
and he like mentions like the air channels not being where he needs them to be at that point, which is kind of funny. But
Yeah, yeah,
um,
so yeah because then Doflamingo shows up at the end But after the Straw Hats have gone, basically.
He
Uh,
beats everyone's ass.
yeah. And so Will, do you have? Because I don't think we. Correct me if I'm wrong, because like I already know, like so I wasn't really paying attention for it when I was rereading. But I don't think we know. We haven't gotten any confirmation as to what Doflamingo's Devil Fruit is. We've
No,
seen him like use his powers a couple times. So what do you like think? What do you think his Devil Fruit is, Will? Like if you had to guess right now, what would you guess?
I mean all we've seen him do is like what control people, right? He controls
Seen him
people, and then he
control people.
and then he like sliced somebody, but I think that was just his like raw strength. So I don't know,
Yeah,
some kind
he
of
did slice off the leg of like Oris Jr. So that's kind of an impressive feat, I guess. But
yeah, he sliced out the leg of Oris Jr., but he also like in this chapter he like sliced the face of some guy, but it was just like some normal dude. So I think that was just his raw
mhm,
strength. I
maybe
don't know. He seems pretty strong. I'm gonna guess it's like some kind of controlling devil fruit. I don't know what
for
it would
sure.
be.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the most impressive power that we've seen from him in terms of like no other character can do that. That's for sure. Can just control people. Um, and also like it has some pretty like terrifying implications, just because like he was able to control like Diamond's Jaws, who was like, he literally like picked up a mountain of ice in the war. So he's a strong
Yeah,
guy
he's a
and
very
like
strong
he
dude.
couldn't even break out of his control. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
seems like he can control people regardless of how strong they are, which is pretty scary for sure. So,
yeah. We didn't
yep.
get to see him fight too much this chapter, besides like the very end, and even then
Yeah,
it
he pretty
was
much
like
like by the time he had showed up, all the fighting had stopped, and he was
yeah,
basically
and
just
he
like,
just like beat
"My
Smoker's
boys."
ass. But yeah, we get to see
Yeah,
like
I mean,
post
Smoker kind of got bodied a lot this arc.
yeah. We get to see post Admiral Aokiji, and I loved his new look is super cool.
Yeah.
Um, and he seems to be he says something like his mind has been cleared after, or not cleared, but like he can see things in a different light after leaving the Marines. And he's like
Uh-huh.
he seems to be definitely he's got some serious motivations in certain directions, but we don't know exactly what he's looking for. So far, he's been a very good character, like morally good character. So I don't think he's done a
Hmm.
heel turn or anything, but uh, I'm
Yeah.
very interested to see how because Doflamingo does he seems like he still wants nothing to do with Aokiji, and that says a lot about how strong he is. Even though we might
Hmm.
not have seen Aokiji be that strong, because I don't know, I feel like Akainu got kind of most of the spotlight last time we saw them fight. But
Yeah.
if he fights Akainu to the draw, then that means he's pretty strong.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, so he definitely is. He's not with the Marines anymore. That's for sure.
Yep.
He's
We don't
said
know
we
what
don't
he's
really
up to,
know
but he's
where
not with the
his
Marines.
allegiance. Yeah.
Have
And
the Yeti Cool brothers join Aokiji.
Ooh, it could be that could be a quite a team.
Yeah.
the Yeti Cooler brothers. And then yeah, I guess we end on the newspaper with um, Doflamingo leaves the Chichibukai, and we also get to see the alliance created by the other members of the generation. Was it the terrible generation?
Hmm.
Um, Apu and the other two. They form their own alliance, as well
And
as Luffy and Law forming their alliance, and then Doflamingo leaving the Shichibukai after the request of Law. He
yep.
does not seem too happy about that. He seems
Yeah.
like he's got his
So
balls in a
that means
vice.
yeah, that means that Caesar is very important to him,
Yes.
and to give up that in order to get Caesar back. So.
Yep. But yeah, definitely seemed like a build-up chapter, especially towards the end half, uh,
Hmm.
for Dressrosa, which is our next episode is going to be the 100 chapters of Dressrosa, which is crazy long.
Yep.
But I'm excited for it. I'll try to read more consistently. Because this
For
chapter I
sure.
read
Yeah.
like half of it within the first 2 days of doing our last episode, and then I finished it today. So there was a good 2 week period where I just didn't read any.
Nice.
Marathon through Dressrosa.
I'll try not to marathon. I'll try to read it pretty consistently so I don't have to like speed read anything and I can absorb it all as much as I want. But
It's a good idea. Yeah.
unless I get sucked into it, which does happen, then I might marathon it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Any other closing thoughts on the arc as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a one of the weaker arcs for sure, but it's still good. Still, still One Piece.
Yeah, I never disliked the arc. I just you always have to compare it to other arcs, so
Yeah, yeah, definitely. When compared to most other arcs, it's disappointing.
and it definitely felt more classic, like a One Piece classic arc than in like Fishman Island did, I guess. Where you have
In some ways, I guess.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
In
Um,
some ways.
I don't know. Fishman Island felt a bit more connected to. This one still was connected to like the whole main story, but like Fishman Island felt more connected to the main story, and this one just kind of felt
I
like
agree.
they showed up at an island and they were like, "What the fuck's going on here?" That kind of classic One Piece type of thing, you know.
That's fair.
They
Yeah.
didn't. They had no intention of going to this island, but they got there and they had to figure things out. Whereas Fishman Island, that was always the goal, right? At that point. So,
Yeah, it had been the goal for very long.
yep. Yeah. Excited for the future.
Good
Uh,
stuff.
so that's just straight up what 700 to 799 or what?
I think it's 700 to like 801 maybe.
Okay.
So it might be 101 chapter.
All right. Well,
Let me check.
we hopefully we will see that probably in 2 weeks. I'm guessing. I don't think I've got anything that should mess with that schedule. So yeah, next episode will be Dressrosa. See you next
Exciting.
time.
See you next time.